Okay, does that mean that we're live? I guess so.
Maybe not. Okay, yep, starting. No, I'll tell you when you're live.
Alright.
Stream health. Okay, now you're live.
Hey guys, we're going to do a bit of a pre-show here because we're a few minutes early. I think we have about 7 minutes. So Andrew, let me know when we're on, actually. Actually, when we're at 11 o'clock so that we can switch over to the regular one. And what we'll do here is just going to play a little bit of Mario Kart while we're waiting, getting me warmed up because it's Monday morning and I'm not always ready to go and talk on the camera for Monday morning. And so, play some Mario Kart here. And as you can see, it's the Japanese version of Mario Kart, so we are authentically JDM here. And I don't actually play this game very much, and so I'm going to be like one of those Twitch thoughts. Right, Andrew?
I guess. JDM, Japanese Domestic Mario.
It's actually hard to play the game while I'm on stream. This is why all the streamers make the big money, because it's hard to play while people are watching. No! And pretty soon, you're going to see me playing with Ninja on Twitch. I'm going to learn how to play Fortnite. I actually don't play any video games. I stopped playing in the Nintendo 64 era. And I just don't have time to play games anymore, so this is kind of like I'm in high school again. I guess this was an elementary school game for me. I hear Andrew typing away.
I'm just telling people what's up with the different. We're gonna run two separate streams.
Right, so yeah, we're going to run 2 streams here. It's basically this just the pre-show. It's going to be a few minutes, and then we're going to shut down and then power back on again. Drop the banana peel right around the corner. 2nd place. It's not bad. I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's see the chat here. Haha, this is awesome. Hello from Compton, California. Light says Domo. Hi, I'm Light. You guys taking off? Question mark. Yeah, we're actually going to start a new Super Nintendo live stream thing. I was thinking maybe a new game each time because we got a couple of games. I was feeling nostalgic one day, so I bought a Super Famicom and bought a number of games. I got some cool Japanese exclusive games that I do want to show. Oh shoot! Thanks, Peach. But yes, take that. One of the games, maybe you can go and do some research on it. It's a K-car racing game, and they have the official licenses for a number of K-cars. Oh, I should have used that for the shortcut here. So they have like the Cappuccino and the Beat and the AZ1 and the Alto Works. Okay, so watch this. Shortcut time. Line up. Yeah! That shortcut didn't do me very much good. One more lap to go. Take this, Yoshi. Ooh, go, go, go! That Luigi guy. He was my character in Nintendo 64 version of this. Oh, yeah. That was my PL2. This is intense. This is how I get ready in the morning. Actually, it's really not. Oh, Yoshi! 2nd place again. Look. The Famicom version has colorful buttons. And the controller, the jump button doesn't work very well because it's a 35-year-old console. When did the Super Nintendo come out? 92? 90?
91 in the US.
Today, I'm not going to be taking my shirt off like I did on the first stream. I was thinking about making that a recurring thing where I show you a new shirt every time. But I don't want to buy a new shirt every week because I'm not rich enough for that. My closet's not big enough. right, we're gonna try for the jump here. First lap. Let's see if we can get it. Line up. Oh, didn't get it. So the coins in this game give you faster speed. They don't. Oh, got hit by Bowser there.
Derek, do you like the Renault Fuego?
The what?
The Renault Fuego.
I'm sorry, I don't know that car. Yeah, take that back into 6th place. Yeah, go ahead and ask me questions as I'm playing. That would probably be a little bit better. Pow! If you're on 150cc, you can sometimes make that jump without having any power up, but no! Oh, that's so not fair that they can have the power up like that. How's our time? I'm tired of
1
playing.
minute. What's your opinion on the S2000?
It's fantastic. It really is. The only problem that it has is the high price, but it has a high price for a reason. Jump and slide into 5th place. Oh, that's my career as a Mario Karter. Maybe next time I'll be a little bit better. So how are we going to do this, Andrew? You're the tech guy.
Go to OBS.
Yeah. So shutting this down, we're going to start this up again. I think you guys will need a new link.
No, it'll stay the same.
Okay.
Alright, I'll tell you when it's live.
Zoom out. Zoom in. Oh, it's hard to do that.
You're live again.
Alright guys, we're live here watching the auctions here with Pacific
Okay,
Coast
so stream
Auto.
resumed, so I think it's keeping it as one thing.
It's what?
It's a stream resumed, so it looks like you're going to have it all be one thing. You
Okay.
can pause it long enough.
Alright, so this is our second time doing this live stream, and we're going to change up a few things. I thought that not everything was as smooth as it could be last time, so this is going to be a learning thing. Every week we're going to try to improve it a little bit, and we could use your guys' feedback. I got the chat actually on my screen here, which is something that I didn't have last time, so I can read your guys' chat as we go. No Gran Turismo, somebody writes. That's Wolfie. Actually, last chat, Wolfie was like, "Why didn't you answer my questions?" That was the guy, right? I asked you 3 times. Why didn't you answer? There you go. I got you on the chat. I noticed you. Yeah, so this time we're not going to go through the past auction prices from last week. I don't know if you guys thought that was a cool thing, but it kept the stream a little bit dry, and so not going to do that. And we're going to focus more on questions that I answer from the chat, so it's a little bit more interactive than it was before. I think the auction picks is fun for about half the stream, and then the chat is fun for about half the stream. And I think this time we're going to try to do like kind of mix match, like one question here, one auction pick here, one question here, go back and forth like that, instead of having a block of auction picks and then a block of questions. And so we'll see how that goes, and I'll be looking forward to your guys' feedback for that as we go. So if you want to send in an auction pick, you just go to this. It's down here at the bottom, auction.pacificcoastjdm.com, and you send in the auction number like USS Tokyo or JU Aichi 53864 or whatever the number is, and I'll look it up on this screen, and then I'll talk about the auction that's coming up. These are all live auctions that are coming up in the next couple of days. And one other thing, we did one USS Tokyo pick last week, and it was a little bit awkward because I can't show the USS picks on the screen, and so that means that I can see it on my computer, which I actually don't have this time. And so this time we're going to do no USS picks again, as we used to do before, simply because it's really boring for people who are on mobile who can't switch back and forth to go and take a look at it. Basically, it's just me talking about something that you can't see, so not cool. Okay, so let's jump into it, and we'll start with one auction pick, and then we'll go into one question, and then we'll see how that goes. I see I got a bunch of questions, but I don't have any auction picks yet, so maybe I'll go into a question first. So let's see what we got here. I'll kind of go as we go here. So I got a question from just reading over it. Robin B3766 says, when is the earliest an R33 can be imported to the States? And so he's referring to Skyline, 2nd generation of the modern GTRs, the RB26 versions of it, 4th generation of the actual GTRs. That car started in 1995 January, and so you can import them next January, right?
No, 2 more years for GTRs.
Is it? 1995. Is not. Oh, yes, correct. The information was right. The math was wrong. I'm sorry. Don't rely on me to do math. Yeah, so in 2 years, January, or I guess a year and a half from now, they'll be legal. But the GTS-T version, like the non-GTR version of it, was legal for import earlier than that. Do you know what month those started?
It's later this year.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact month.
So I think that it's like August of this year or something like that. We'll see. Okay, as we don't have any auction picks, I don't know if this is updating.
Actually, someone wants to know, what are Mark IV Supras going for right now?
It's not really a great idea to be pricing out Mark IV Supras because they're changing in price so quickly that even if you wait 2 months or 3 months or 6 months, then the price isn't going to be the same anymore. I think in the course of the last year, we've seen the price go up like 20% or so. So if you got one last year, then you're in luck. You can make money off of that. And then if you're somebody from the US, it's really hard to say because they're only very barely importable to the US at the moment. And so that means you've got a big chunk of people looking to buy a product that has very short supply because the first few months of Mark IV Supras are importable to the USA right now. And so we're going to see a price spike and then maybe level off, but we don't know. With the R32 GTR, it was a slower burn because not as many people from the US knew about importing at that time, and that was the car that really brought it to, like, made it so that everybody knew about it. But now everybody knows about importing cars to the USA, and everybody has been waiting for Mark IV Supra. So I think we will see more of a spike with that one, and then a level off of the price, and maybe a bit of a decline in the price. I guess we'll have to see. The difference between the JDM prices of those and the USDM prices, like the US version of the price, is very high still at the moment. So in the US, those are going for 50 grand, 70 grand in some cases. And so at the moment, we're seeing, like, for the twin turbo 6-speed RZ version of the car, we're seeing like 2 million at the very bottom, and then like 4.5 or 5 million yen at the top. And then super clean ones will sell for more than that.
You want to give us an auction pick?
Okay, so we got an auction pick here, so I'm going to bump into that. 10065. And that's a Bayog. This one, oh, that's an interesting pick from Ioanni Esparza. This is a Suzuki Mighty Boy, probably one of the coolest names of any car ever. And then it's also a car pickup, and so it gets extra points there. The problem with them is that they're too expensive for the car. They tend to run about 500,000 to 700,000 yen, which would be like 4,000 US dollars to 6,000 US dollars or so, which is a lot for a little K car. But they are cool. Let's go over the auction sheet of this one. And so it's a 1985. It's Mighty Boy 550cc engine, so half a liter engine, 5-speed manual, original blue. That doesn't look like an original blue. Strange. Auction grade 3, interior C, exterior C. Grade 3 is a funny grade because sometimes it could be a good car at a really good value, but at least 60% of the time it's not a good car. This one has C2, which is corrosion here, and corrosion here on the roof. 5-digit odometer, so the mileage is unknown on here. This has current registration on it. The vehicle subgrade is not known. The bed has rust in it, and one part has a corrosion hole. Underside is painted, various scratches and small dents. The seat is ripped. Color change, there we go. Color change car with uneven paint, because whenever somebody paints a car, they usually don't paint it as good as the factory does. Oil leak on it. Interior cigarette burn and dirty. Cool car. I still think it's going to sell for quite a bit, even though it has corrosion on it. I'd say probably we're looking at 300,000 yen for this one, which is on the lower end of this car, but still more than I think a car with this much corrosion is worth. Okay, so TXT Gaming says, I love the new format. They're referring to the Mario Kart at the beginning. It's still unsure if that's going to be one live stream.
He told us wait a minute or so, at least 1 minute between stopping and starting it again, and then YouTube will actually cut it into 2 videos. But if you stop and start in less than a minute, it says, oh, you're continuing.
Yeah. Okay, that's a little bit weird.
We're learning.
I still don't know what I'm doing with streaming. I don't even watch too many streaming people on the YouTubes, and so, yeah, complete amateur over here. Andrew actually knows a lot, and there's a big mess of wires over here to get it running. Much more complicated than I thought that it would be. I thought just plug it in and go, but no, there's issues with delay and all sorts of things. Khaled says, my question please. Hello, could you please answer? But I don't know what it is. Let's scroll up and see.
We did his Supra. We got him.
All right. Nobody's behind Derek right now, but you'll probably see me going. That's a comment from Andrew.
Yeah. That's why I said crown.
Oh, Mo Louis says, thanks for the runks, Derek. Keep doing what you're doing, friend. Yeah, here's the thing. A lot of people watch the videos, the regular walk-around videos, and they spy out the vehicles that are in our lot for potential information on what vehicles are coming up next. Because you can, sometimes there are cars that are waiting to be shot in there. There was a Corolla. It is a Z Tourer Corolla, and it is super rad. And it was set up to be an inventory car, and a lot of people were asking about it. And unfortunately, or fortunately for some people, a friend of mine said, hey, can you sell that to me? And I was like, I want it for inventory, but if you want, you can buy it. And then so he ended up buying it. But the real reason why that car is awesome is because it's a TRD version of it. It has a 1.8 liter, same engine as the Celica, like the GTS version of it, but has 210 horsepower instead of the 180 horsepower that the American Celica has. And then it's in like a hatchback style, but it's still heavier than the Celica. I don't know why that is, but front wheel drive, 4 doors, basically Celica, 6-speed manual transmission, 210 horsepower. It's a super rad car, and it handles really nicely. And I got a bunch of really lovely videos of it driving in the mountains, and so I'm going to edit those sometime in the future, and you'll be able to see them on this channel. Okay, what are we going to do next?
There's a bunch of auction pics if you scroll up.
Okay, let's see what we got. Nippon Imports gave me a kiss. Thank you. I'll give you a kiss back. Josh Jolin, that's a name I don't recognize. Let's go to TAA Kinky 69. Kinky 69. Okay. Kinky is an area in Japan. And there's a band, a Japanese band called Kinky Kids. And it's really funny. But the band isn't a funny band. Okay, wow. Okay, so the name of this is a Honda 1300. I wouldn't have known that had I not read it because I'm not up on my super old Hondas. But Honda made a number of really cool cars before they started making all the cars that we know Honda for. The Civic, the Accord, the Prelude were really the cars that made it popular in the US. Kind of the N360. N360 is like one of their first popular cars, but a cool coupe here, 2-door sports car. Would have been front wheel drive, 1300cc. It looks awesome. I love the Watanabe wheels on it. That's a really good looking car. Put the bomb up here so that you can see it. So this is a 1972. So the same year that the TE28 Corolla came out, I think. And the car looks similar to that as well, with a very different face, but the Coke bottle styling looks similar. This is a cool looking car. We do have some rust on it, but when it's a car this old, you kind of expect it. That wouldn't turn me away from this car, I think. Mileage is unknown, 26,464 kilometers on it. It has a star here because it's probably a 5-digit odometer. Auction grade R because it's been in an accident. Interior E, exterior E. Aftermarket driver's seat, aftermarket wheels. 5-digit odometer. And so mileage is unknown. Front inner panel dented. Front pillar dented and repair mark. Engine is puffing white smoke. This is why it's a good idea not just to look at the pictures, because the inspector says it's puffing white smoke, but if you look at the picture here, there's no white smoke coming out of the tailpipe.
People want to know, is that the original color?
I don't think it is. No, it says here color changed to blue. It doesn't look like a car, like a color from 1972. I don't know. I don't know where that came from. In my mind says that doesn't look right. Underside has large rust on it. Core support dented. Core support repaired. engine oil leak, seat ripped, medium size, seat saggy, large dashboard cracked, large emblems are missing. Those will be hard to find, I think, the original emblems for this. Fender mirrors on this car. Fender mirrors are a really cool styling thing, but I don't think that they're very nice to drive the cars with the fender mirrors. But once you get used to it, I suppose it would be okay. But whenever I move cars in our lot that have fender mirrors, I'm always like, I can't see where the other cars are because the mirror's not close enough to my face. It gives you a very different angle of what you can see. And the idea of the fender mirrors and why they're still used in Japan up to this day is because a lot of the Japanese streets are very narrow and have corners that are like complete right angles that you don't have very much room to move around in it. And the fender mirror allows you to see more easily where your car might hit something when you're going around really tight streets. Aftermarket stereo, right door can't open. Okay, well that's the driver's side door. So if you want to go driving this car, you have to get in the wrong side, which could be a blessing because this is a right-hand drive car, and if you imported it into the USA, then a lot of people, the number one complaint that I hear is, I keep getting into the car on the wrong side by accident, and so this car solves that problem. Okay, so how many questions do we have?
Question. Hello, Derek. Is it possible to have a turbo kit installed on an Altezza before it's leaving Japan? Like getting aftermarket parts put on before we ship cars.
It's possible, but I don't recommend that. I don't know if you guys could hear that, so let me know if you could hear that question, because Andrew is sitting over there. The speakers are pointed towards me here, and so if you couldn't hear, then is it okay, or is it a good idea to get an Altezza in Japan and then pay to get a turbo kit put onto that Altezza before it ships? And I say no, because you don't get an awful lot of value for that. Adding a turbo kit in Japan using brand new parts is going to run you probably around $6,000 or so. And you can buy plenty of turbo Altezzas from people who have already turboed their Altezzas. They come up pretty often because the Altezza, like the new 8.6, a lot of people loved the car because it's rear-wheel drive, 6-speed manual, 4 doors, fairly light, but it was low on power. Original power for that was, I think, 205 or 210 horsepower, somewhere in there. And so a lot of people wanted to get that extra power and put turbo kits on it. And so aftermarket suppliers made a lot of, well, maybe not a lot of suppliers made them, but at least a few of them. Trust made, I think, the most popular one, and I think you can get one through TRD as well. And so it would be better for cost to buy one with the turbo kit already on it, because that only adds about 10% onto the value of the car, because it's a modified car. Modified cars typically sell for less. Andrew, could you pass me my water and a coaster?
It was just right there on my phone.
Thank you.
Your water's not cold.
That's okay. I can drink uncold water. It's actually not water. It's vodka. Okay, we got another one coming here. Let's see. I'm going to be a little bit choosy on which ones I pick here.
Yeah, I'm asking people to put the car type along with the bid number so you don't just guess at random.
Very good idea. Then I can kind of, like if you send in something boring, then I'm not going to pick it. Or that can be a strategy for you guys if you want something boring on there.
Lie.
Yeah, just... It's too bad that we can't do links, like click on a link, because I think that would be really fun. I'm going to get Rick Astley videos?
Astley. Astley.
Like, I don't know.
Rick rolled.
I'm going to get Rick rolled. Yeah, that totally dates me. In the internet, everything is old after a couple of years, and that's like 8 years old now, I think, or maybe 10. Alright, what do we got here? 30685. Go up here, put the new bid number 30685, and this one is at HAA Kobe. That's weird. Did I get the wrong number there? Okay, that didn't work for me. 17012. From Chris Shaw. Okay, this one deserves a little bit of explaining. This is from AucNet, and so it is not a real auction. It is a dealer posting their car up for auction without sending it to the auction. And what that usually means is you don't get the car for an auction price. And there's really no point in buying a car at an extra $1,000 or $2,000 or $4,000, what they're going to charge, when you can get it from auction at a lower price. The only reason you're going to want to do something like this is if the car is super ultra rare and you just have to have it. But unless this is the RC version of the car, which I don't think that it is, then it's not worth doing. And so I wouldn't go for this one. Also, the annoying thing is you only get this, and then in our auction tool you get this, and it's all in English, and it's in computer translated English, and it's really difficult to understand. Right rocker lower part C, hole upper support C. Like, there's no commas, or there's no like enders to make it easier to read. And so yeah, F pillar paint chip, F pulling hook bend, F bumper left torn small cracks. And so in our version of this system, like the actual Japanese version, we can read the Japanese and then translate it better than that if you want. But no, I don't recommend Oknet cars unless you enjoy paying more, even though this is a pretty sweet looking car. Looks great with the Oz wheels on there. Oz wheels for the win, of course. These seats in it. You can get stock Recaro seats in this car, but these aren't them. Looks like the seats are a little bit worn out here. Do like the rear spoiler. We just had Celica last time, so put that away. Let's do a question here. Chris knows the kind of cars I like. Subaru VVO T-top. That's a good one, but I want to answer a question. Hello from Canada. Hello from my country, my home country of Canada. Can I import a Supra Mark IV to Saudi Arabia, the Middle East? You already answered that in the chat?
Yeah, because we don't know what the right-hand drive rules are for Saudi Arabia. Like, UAE doesn't allow it, Saudi Arabia might. It's really confusing. So check with your local importer or customs broker.
Yeah, that's a big thing, because at the end of the day, it's your responsibility if the cars you buy are legal for your country, because regulations change, and there's like at least 100 countries. I mean, there's there are more than 100 countries, but there are at least 100 countries with people in them that were interested in buying cars from Japan. And so we know for countries that we send a lot of cars to, but if we don't know, then really go to your DMV and figure it out. It's just a simple question. How far down does the chat go? Let's see.
Quite a way. Do you want to talk about how we buy cars? Somebody was asking about, there's like, do we need a membership for USS, for JU, for CAA, or like, I don't know how much detail you want to go into with that.
Okay, I think this is an interesting question for people who want to move to Japan and start their own auction exporting company. And if that's the case, then all the power to you. Come to Japan and do it if that's what you want to do. Don't do it if you want to become super rich, because it looks like this is a company that you can become super rich, but I very strongly feel like the only way you can get super rich doing this company is if you cheat and lie and steal from people. And so if you're a cheater, then I don't want you to come to Japan and be our competition, because we have enough competition of cheaters. If you're an honest person, I'm happy to help you out any way that I can. That said, sometimes I've said that on camera, and then we get a whole bunch of people sending us emails for us to do the dirty work for you. If you are not able to do the dirty work yourself, you're probably not going to survive in this industry. And so make sure that you like calling people and figuring things out yourself. And there's only so much that I can train somebody on how to be my own competition. That said, how do we buy cars? If it's from US, so there's lots of different auction houses. This is an Oknet. Actually, that's not an auction, but let's see. This one here is TAA Kinki. That's owned by Toyota. Bayok here is in Yokohama, and there are, I think, about 30, no, maybe about 20 different auction houses, but they're all kind of in these little groups. And so what you do as an exporter is you get a membership for a group or to the individual auction, depending on what you want to do. Most car dealers here in Japan are going to get a license just to the closest auction and buy all their cars there. If you're an exporter, you have to be able to buy from every auction in Japan, and you have to be able to buy on the internet. And so USS is 80% of our purchases. They're by far the biggest and have the best cars. And so we bid through the internet with them, either live bidding or or auto bidding, and it depends on our likelihood of winning which one that we choose. And then any other auction other than that, we go with different group auctions. Like for example, JU has a group that includes JU and HAA and TAA and CAA all in it, and so you can buy through them. There's also another company called Auto Server, and then this is almost, I'd say probably about 80% of the car exporters out there use this as their primary source to bid on cars, because it's easier to get an Auto Server membership than it is to get most of the other auction memberships, because you don't need to own land and stuff like that. And so Auto Server is really nice because you can bid on any auction throughout Japan. The fees are a little bit higher, but it's really convenient, and yeah, that we can bid on them. But there's various reasons why you want to bid from certain places, and Auto Server I think is a good system. I guess that's kind of the end of that question. No overnight parts, says Pacific Coast Auto. Okay, so we got one from, did we already say, review one from Chris Shaw? I can't remember.
Don't know.
Okay, 583 at JU Shizuoka. And Shizuoka is not too far away from here, about 2-hour drive. It's an Impreza. And so here we have an Impreza GC8. This is a version 5, which is the second to last version of the GC8, or the second to final year. They actually made a few updates between this version and the final version. The spoiler looks slightly different. This one has a lower incline on the back, and there's different wheels on the version 6. And there probably are a few other things, but I don't know exactly. This color here, the dark gunmetal gray, was only available in the 5 and the 6. And the GC8s are excellent cars because 5-speed manual, generally short gear ratios, 4-wheel drive, turbocharged EJ20, putting out 280 horsepower in the STI version of it. Auction sheet here. 1999 Impreza version 5. STI. Be careful because there is a WRX version and an STI version, like there is the new versions of the cars. But for this generation, there aren't very many WRXs. They're almost all STIs. And then version 5 and version 6 are the only two with the picnic table on the back, and those ones are the more expensive ones. Auction grade R, interior C, exterior C, timing belt was replaced, aftermarket suspension, exhaust wheels, boost gauge, aftermarket Navi. And then from the accident, the core support and the right front inner panel are dented, left front side member is dented and deformed. Not an awfully big accident. I would consider this a medium one. Left electric door mirror doesn't fold in. Seat is dirty and saggy. Various scratches, dents. Dashboard cracked. Dashboard cracked. Usually it's the lid piece. Where is that? Can't see. So this piece here tends to crack. I haven't seen too many other dashboard cracks in Imprezas, which is good because a lot of Japanese cars get dashboard cracks, especially from the 80s and 90s. And they did update the dashboard for the version 4, 5, and 6 of the late model dashboard. 1, 2, and 3 of the earlies. Oil leak, because it's an EJ, of course it leaks. And tools missing, and corrosion on the wheels. And the body's not bad. So as for price on this one, I would probably say that we're looking at about, what are the kilometers? 155, that's pretty high. 650,000 yen to 800,000 yen, so 5,000 to 7,000 US dollars. Super law. Government in Australia let us bring in R-grade cars. I don't know if that was a request or not. The Evo 8 has low mileage of 53,000 kilometers. I'm surprised to see it that way. You shouldn't be surprised to see low mileage cars. Except if it's a super fun car to drive like an Evo. But most people in Japan in the cities don't drive to work, and so that takes a lot of mileage off. Your work here pays for your transport to work by train, and so most people take the train to work, which is a really nice system. You only drive during the weekend, and then you can drive only on the times that are fun for you instead of driving to work. So I think that is fine. That leads to low mileage, but cars that are owned in smaller cities, obviously this isn't the case, and so that would lead to the higher mileage. And I think that this is an argument used by people like who want to fight against imported Japanese cars, because a lot of these cars are in better condition and lower price than domestic cars in your country. And so those dealers create this kind of false statement that Japanese cars all have rolled back mileage and that's why you can't trust them. And in some markets that's completely true, but it's not done by the auctions at all. It's done by the import dealers or the exporters. And so do be careful about that. I would love to visit and buy a car in the auction places with y'all. We only have one customer who has ever visited the auction in person and actually bought a car. And we've taken probably 10 or 12 different customers in person to the auction. It doesn't happen that often because it costs a lot of money to travel to Japan, and then if you also have to buy a car, a lot of people would be more willing to spend that money on just the car itself. But it does happen, and we did have somebody, we took a picture, actually they took a picture with Polaroid camera and we posted it on the back. You'll actually be able to see it. The picture is right there on our back window, and it's the only person who has ever done it, and it happened only a couple of months ago. My 18-year-old WRX has only 74,000 kilometers on it. That's pretty rad. Craig, I must wait for Derek to start Pacific Coast Parts. I don't know who Craig is, but we used to do parts, but we ended up not continuing it except for our best customers. Like if you bought a car off of us, then we're happy to get you some parts, but we don't want to do it as a service because if you're doing just one part at a time, it's really not cost effective to do that, and it's not time effective for us too. We could spend 2 or 3 times as much time per 100 yen that we make compared to exporting cars. So really not worth it. USS is uncool. They are the only reason I'm in business, so I'm not going to comment on that one. What do we got? I got some more auction picks. Let's see.
Scroll up, there's a bunch.
Nissan Osaka 1114. Didn't say which car it is. I'm so glad that links don't work, otherwise this wouldn't be a family-friendly podcast. Okay, so this is a JZX 100 Toyota Chaser. And the JZX 100 means the turbocharged 1JZ engine, inline 6-cylinder. Perfect car for drifting, and because of that, all the driftos have stolen the cars from the market. And I can't really be too angry about this because the market acts the way that it does, and there's nothing we can do about that. Drifting is popular, and so they use up the cars. Can't really get angry at drifters because it looks like a lot of fun and it is doing what they want to do. And if they have enough money to buy the cars that are good for drifting within the market, then we can't really complain. That said, the prices of these have gone up because they are an extremely good car for that. A lot of it comes down to reliability, aftermarket parts, knowledge about the chassis and about the engine, and then long wheelbase. And long wheelbase is what you really need in a drift car because it helps you sustain your drift for a longer amount of time. If you have a short wheelbase like an 8.6, it's actually a lot more challenging to drift. And so a lot of people who are really getting into cars for the first time think 8.6, I got to get that so that I can drift. But as far as cars go, it's one of the more challenging ones. If you really want to get into it, like an S13, S14, S15, JZX80, JZX90, JZX100 would be good cars to start with. So this is a 97 Chaser. That makes it the second year or the first year of it. Can't quite remember. It's either a late 96 or an early 97. Original pearl paint, 5-speed. A lot of people convert the automatics into 5 speeds because the 5 speeds are worth way more. Cracked parts on the body kit, as you can see. And then this one's at a small auction, Nissan Osaka, or NAA Osaka as it's sometimes called. And so, cars at this auction tend to sell for cheaply. What does it say here? Dashboard has holes in it. They might be referring to the stereo missing, and that being the hole that they're talking about. Okay, interior is dirty. Underside has rust prevention spray. Core support is dented. It's an auction grade R because it's been in an accident. Interior C, exterior C. Check lamp is on. Various check lamps are on. That's a common thing for an automatic transmission swapped car because the TSC lamp always stays on if you swap from an automatic to a manual. And then so that may be one of the ones that's on. There's another one, I think the ABS one screws up, but there's a way to get that to go off if you use a power FC, I think. Various check lamps on. Lowered car. The starter doesn't, oh no, the alternator doesn't work on it. Dynamo. Doesn't work. Modifications to the interior are unknown. Driver's airbag is missing because Momo steering wheel. And various modifications, so see the car yourself for details. It doesn't look too far gone. I think the alternator is a cheap fix. I think that the bumper is no doubt that it's cracked because it is like pennies away from the ground. And back bumper. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, you can get bumpers for this a lot. I think drifting has been really great for the aero kit industry because you destroy bumpers so quickly with drift cars, and especially low ones like this, because all it takes is going off the course into the grass to crack that. And I wonder if this hood actually can close. I don't know. Smoked lights in the front and the back. Rear spoiler delete because this car would have come with a rear spoiler originally. And this is a cool carbon fiber Kevlar look dash piece, and that's stock. They're great cars, fantastic cars, and one of the best mid-size cars that you can get. And so price wise, 99,000 kilometers, 5-speed. It doesn't say if it's a swap, but it kind of feels like it is. I don't know. You can figure it out if you want it though. Let's do that. Bear with me for a second here. So JZX100-0064007 is the chassis code for this. And this is an original automatic car. And so that's a bit of a problem with the auction. If you were to buy this car, since it doesn't mention it on the sheet, you can make a claim and get some money back. If you really wanted to, you can say, hey, I found out that this car originally had an automatic transmission and I want you to give me $500. And then they'll say either yes, or they'll say, I'll receive the vehicle back as the only possible claim. And so it may not be successful. It depends on how eager the seller is to sell the car and how much they liked the price. All right, wow, that was a little bit longer than I thought it would be. Okay, what do we got next? I currently I can't read this person's name because it's in Russian by the look of it, but
it's Hebrew.
Hebrew.
Yeah,
okay.
MHP.
Oh, sorry, MHP. I currently have an E46 318i, but I'm currently in the process of trying to get my license in Japan. I got 88 from learner's permit written test twice. Passing score is 90 lol.
That test sucks.
Yeah, Andrew has a little bit of experience with that because in order to work here, you need to have your license. And previous to working here, Andrew didn't have his Japanese license, and so he needed to go through the system of getting the license, going through driving school, and getting like the full license. And that's why we have the new driver's sign. Actually, the thumbnail of this has new driver's sign logo on it, so you can take a look at that if you want. But the process is really annoying. For one, the test that MHP and Andrew took, the written test, is in kind of like translated into English, but it's not really translated correctly. And a lot of the, like, they'll put in double or triple negatives in some cases. Well, like, why don't you explain?
Yeah, I'll slide. We'll be together, that's alright. I don't know if we're gonna fit. Okay. Barely. Alright, the Japanese driving test, the written test is 95 questions. 90 of them are true-false questions. The last 5, it's a picture of a road scene, and then there's 3 questions, what would you do? And you have to answer all 3 correctly in order to get the 2 points for each of those questions. Passing score is 90. It's really easy to fail because a lot of the questions are complete BS. It's so easy to take them one way or the other, and the wording isn't very clear. One of the ones I got stuck on when I took my test was, when activating the parking brake, you should pull it as hard as possible. Do they mean you should yank the crap out of it, or just pull it up as far as you can? That's not clear on the question, and probably a good 20 to 30% of those true-false questions are worded like that. It is not an easy test to take. You can just go and try and take the test and take the driving test, but if you fail the driving test, they'll never tell you why you failed. and you have to pass the written test before they'll let you take the driving test. I sucked it up and paid the money to go to driving school, because if you go to an accredited driving school, you can get all your instruction in English and you can take your driving test there. So then all you have to do is take your paperwork to the DMV, which is actually the police station because they don't have DMV here. You take your paperwork down to the police station and you take the written test, and if you pass that, you get your license. It's a really annoying process. Yeah. And not everybody has to do it, because if you're Canadian,
or
you can
from almost every other
or
country.
from almost every other country, you can just transfer your existing license over. But if you're from America and if you're other countries, you don't get that option. You have to take the test, both written and driving.
Yet one more reason why Canada is an awesome country. And
we're not going to get into this because you come from a country that has healthcare.
Yeah, okay. I was playing Mario Kart there while you were answering the question. Yeah, and I think I heard that, like, so one of the guys who used to work here, Paul, got his license as well. He had to go through the same thing, but he didn't want to go through the driving school because he had been driving for a long time. So he's like, I know how to drive. I can do this. And so he took the test and he failed it a number of times. I don't know how many times, but one of the...
He had his Japanese license, but when he originally got it, it was only for automatic transmission. So he had to get the manual classification on his, which means he had to go take the manual driving test. They're two separate licenses in Japan.
Yeah, and apparently he failed because he didn't look underneath the car before getting into it, or he said he got deducted points for that, and that's part of the reason why he failed. And so what they do, to my understanding, is they put things in there that intentionally are there to make you fail if you haven't taken the driver test, maybe as some sort of a collusion between the licensing center and the driving training. So I'm not too sure, but that's a conspiracy theory. Okay, where's the build plate? I say trans on that. Okay, we're kind of behind in the chat here. Let's scroll down a bit. Did you see any Volvo 940s? Your thoughts on rear-wheel drive Volvos? I'm sure there are 940s here. Nobody's ever asked for one. Rear-wheel drive Volvos? Are there very many? I think most of them are front-wheel drive. The old ones, like the P1800, are rear-wheel drive. Bill says Z Bilster, or Z Bilster, American style. A friend of mine taught English in Japan for a few years. She had a great video on getting a scooter license in Japan. Search Real Talk in Japan, getting a scooter license on YouTube. Okay, then you can drive Motocompo. You can, from I think 16 years old, you can drive a 50cc scooter on the road here, but you can't go more than 50 kilometers an hour. And scooter drivers are really annoying because they take up a portion of the lane and you want to pass them, but they're like, I'm going to be 6 meters away from the side of the road here driving my scooter. Very annoying. And actually one of the reasons why driving a left-hand drive in Japan is kind of nice, because you're very close to the side where the scooters are, so that you know exactly how far away you are, and then you won't hit their handlebars or something. You gonna say something?
You reach out and smack them too.
Yeah, roll down the windows. I love you, man. Yeah, if you did that, I'm sure that you would be deported.
And 50cc scooters are speed limited, supposedly, to 30 kilometers an hour.
Are they?
Yeah, they're not supposed to go faster than that.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, so we got an auction pick here, 25011. Did we already do that one? I have a feeling like we already did that one.
Somebody found a Honda City.
Oh, find that one.
CAA Tokyo 1151.
Okay.
That's why you put the car names in there.
Yeah. Sorry, Alan. We almost got yours. Okay. This one is a Honda City, but it's not really a Honda City. This is a pretend one. So the Honda City started in '83, and this is the first year of the cabriolet version of the car. And the cabriolet version of the car, what they did is they wanted to make the car more appealing, I think, to the fairer sex. And so these were really popular cars for women back in the day. Look, it's pink, but it's also red. And so they made a convertible version of it. So you take a floppy chassis, you cut off the roof, and you get a floppier car. But not only that, they put the turbo, or a very similar body kit to the turbo one, but they don't have the turbo engine in here. And so you have the 86 horsepower engine, or no, 67 horsepower engine, something like that. And you have the wide fenders, which admittedly look cool, but they're not exactly the same. Like if I take one of the fenders off of this and try to put it on my car, it doesn't fit on there perfectly. They're actually not as wide as the Turbo 2. And the only thing I do like about these is if you look at the rear here. Oh, this one doesn't have them. The later model ones have it. They have a little vent piece here. That it kind of, it's fake, but it looks like a kind of a brake cooling vent, kind of Renault 5 turbo look. But this one's an earlier model, so it doesn't have it. It shares the same cool dashboard, like very 80s style dashboard, but it doesn't have the boost gauge. And the boost gauge is one of the coolest things in the Honda City Turbo because it's full LED boost gauge with bars to show you how much boost that you have. It's totally like a Knight Rider or just like 80s high tech. You know how everything was like, this is what the future is going to look like. And yeah. Ooh, an automatic. And these are cheap, way cheaper than the actual Honda City Turbos. Styling, they still look cool. I still like the stubby look of them. But they won't fit a Moto Compo in them. Too bad. CLP says, lol, that's some nasty paint fade. I don't know why, but red fades faster than any other color.
Bill says, I'm not sure, but I think that's a cabriolet.
Oh, in reference to the big cabriolet? Yeah. The wheels are actually pretty cool. I've never seen those before. But yeah, that's a lot of paint fade. Price for this is probably only going to be about 100,000 yen or $800 or so. I didn't look over the auction sheet though, so maybe. Let's see, corrosion. Oh, that's the first thing. Open up the sheet and look for corrosion or other dents or things on the body diagram. Not enough people do that when they send in the translations. We spend all the time translating the auction sheets, and then they're like, no, I didn't want that car. There's corrosion on it. Well, yeah. I can't complain. I love my customers. Rear floor is bent large. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe less than that. Maybe $600 or $500. Question here from that A70 Supra dude. I'm looking to import a Savannah RX-7 and I'm concerned about the operating condition with it being a rotary. Is there a certain standard that all vehicles must meet in order to be exported? Okay, the only thing that you need for the vehicle to be exported is it has to be radiation free, and that has to do with the safety of the workers at the port. And so they don't let the vehicles enter any of the export ports if there's radiation on the car. And this came after the Fukushima thing. And so since then, when did that happen? 2011. Yeah. We've had three cars fail for radiation.
Only one fail after washing.
Yeah. So
three failed, 2 got cleaned and passed.
Yes, and so there's a sub question in here. Is the first generation RX-7 something you have to worry about with reliability? I think instead of looking at it that way, you need to look at it like this is a car that requires certain maintenance, and one of the maintenance things is you may have to rebuild the engine at some point. And the first generation RX-7 is such a lovely car in all respects that it's worth it rebuilding that engine when you need to. And I think that because the Rotary community is very dedicated to the art of keeping those engines alive, then you're going to continue to be able to rebuild those and or engine swap them for the foreseeable future. A lot of people don't like the Rotary because of its possible unreliability, but if it's taken care of in the way that it's designed to be taken care of, reliability isn't as much of an issue as people think that it is. And if you're a person who's caring more about reliability, then you should buy a car that's more reliable than that. But sadly, most of the highest performance cars are not as reliable as a non-high performance car. So there's a little bit of trade-off there. And yeah, you can export blown engine cars or whatever you want from Japan. What's this? Sick Nick, you'll have to import your plutonium from Ukraine in a Lada. Don't understand that. Chris Shaw says, lol. Good comment. Nothing inside the cars, no spare tire or jack stand. Anything that came with the car originally can be shipped with the car. If it's anything that is not bolted to the car, then it can't be shipped with the car through roll-on, roll-off. Some carriers allow for it, but not that many. It depends on who it is. I think Hogue allows for it if you sign a piece of paper saying that if there's any theft, then they're not going to count it. But theft of things that are left inside the cars is a big thing, even things that are screwed in, like CD players, gauges, like aftermarket gauges, that sort of thing. Tools rarely get stolen, but if it's like a rare car, like a Ferrari, I would recommend take the tool bag out. Like the Ferrari bag itself is worth several $1,000s to replace it, and so yeah, some of them you might want to take out, and we can do that if you need, and then ship it to you extra. Do you watch Mighty Car Mods? Not so much recently, partly because I am really busy, and secondly, I've been trying not to watch as much YouTube as I used to watch because it ends up taking a lot of time. And here I am telling people while I'm making my own video, but when you're really busy, I think that it's really easy to get stuck in a hole of just one more video, just one more video, just one more video, and I value my sleep, and I don't get much free time except for right before bed. So yes, I think that their content is fantastic though, and I think that they're cool dudes, and they, especially their early videos back when YouTube was a very different thing than it is now, had a special type of charm. So I recommend anyone who hasn't to do so and go back and watch their first 3 or 4 seasons. Magic mushroom in a spare tire? No can do. Drugs in Japan are very strict, although magic mushrooms used to be legal here in the 90s, up until the 90s, I think. Do you know anything about that, Andrew?
A lot of stuff was legal even more recently, like even up into the 2000s.
Giovanni says, so Motocompo came with the car originally, then you're good to ship it in the car. They didn't come with the car originally. They were an optional extra, and they cost 80,000 yen. And at the moment, you can get them for 100,000 to 200,000 yen, so they've appreciated in value past their original sale price. Okay, 4022 Toyota Truno. Let's take a look at that one from Leslie Lee. Ferrari, California. Interesting. Should I check that one?
USS.
Oh, USS. You guys wouldn't be able to see that. Sorry. Okay, 4022 at TAA Kyushu. Where is that? Here it is. That's an interesting one. So after the 8.6, the Corolla turned into a front-wheel drive platform, and the 8.6 was the final version of the rear-wheel drive version of the car. And a lot of its popularity crashed then, but Toyota wanted to make a front-wheel drive car because it's cheaper to make a front-wheel drive car than it is a rear-wheel drive car. And it's easier to make one that is a high-performance car when it's front-wheel drive if lightweight is what you're going after. And so what they decided to do is to continue the Truno and the Levin. Let's see, 92, 101, 111. So for 3 extra generations past that, this was the final generation of what the 8.6 used to be. And until I guess you could consider the new 8.6, like the FRS and the BRZ, to be one of them. But this is what the Truno looks like. A lot of people don't realize that this is what it looks like because the 8.6 is really the only car of the generation that they know about. It has an awesome engine in it. It's called a Blacktop AE111 4AGE, and it was in this car, and in a 4-door Corolla, and in the Levin, and in a Corolla station wagon. And you could get them in all of those with a 6-speed manual transmission. And the wagon version with the 6-speed manual is pretty rare, but it's one of the cars I just have to have. I've never had a chance to drive one of these, and I really want to. The Toyota said that they had 175 horsepower out of a 1.6 liter engine with variable valve timing, titanium valves, and lifters. Excuse me. And individual throttle bodies on an original car. And so very, very cool engine. I think it actually was only putting out around 160 or 155 is what people say. But still, front wheel drive, very lightweight. I think that these are under 1 ton. And unfortunately, you don't see them up for auction that often in good condition. So this is a 1998. That may be the final year of this one. I don't know. Sprinter Torino, or Torino, as the Japanese is. 1600cc, auction grade 3 with an exterior E, an interior C, B4 on the front fender here. That's a huge dent, huge dent, huge dent, huge dent, huge dent. The car, yeah, it's been used as the bonus car in Street Fighter. Pa pa pa. So the body also has a lot of paint fade on it. You can't really see in the picture as well, but it says the body has paint fade. Steering wheel wear, shift knob wear, seat dirty, interior dirty, door mirror scratched, aftermarket stereo, and corrosion on the wheels. And they're not beautiful wheels. And so not a good conditioned car, but still a cool car. And this would be a cool car to just make a video of buy the car, take it to a track, and then sell the car. Because you wouldn't want to own one in this condition, but I sure bet it would still be fun to drive. Price-wise, I haven't been watching the prices of these, so it's a little bit hard to say, but considering the condition, it can't be high. It is a 6-speed manual, though. Some people might just want it for the parts, for the engine, and for the 6-speed, and because of that, the price can't be too low. It doesn't have any corrosion on it. Price could be somewhere in the range of like 200,000 to 350,000, somewhere in there. I bet the prices are going up. You used to be able to get these for like 100,000 yen. And sorry for anyone who doesn't know yen. It's I don't know exchange rates, so sorry. Okay, 165 horsepower, someone says. Okay, so thank you, Chris Shaw. What else do we got here? Are we at the end? It's hard for me to tell. Scroll all the way down, but then you scroll all the way down, and then suddenly more load up, and then you think you're at the end, and you're not.
You're done with this. It's got a Honda Accord Euro R in there.
Sim Kaishev says good morning, because it is morning here in Japan. Australian laws are stupid, says Craig W. I heard through Mighty Car Mods that they are, like you can't have modifications to your car. I think that's ridiculous. I think that modifications don't make you more likely to do anything like street racing. I think that if you're not allowed to, and I think that that's what the idea is behind that. If you limit the modifications, then it keeps the cars in a safer state of roadworthiness and prevents people from showing off and stunting or whatever else. But I don't think that that's the truth. I think that even if you're not allowed to do that, people won't maintain their cars very well. And I think most modifications don't make the cars more dangerous, with the exception of some that are really dumb, like cambered wheels. Okay, does anyone notice that the taillights look almost like S2000 taillights? Ooh, they do! You just cut them off here, and they're S2000 taillights. Okay, Grandpa covers for the win. You must have been watching my other videos. That's a original Pacific Coast auto-coined term for the lace. I accidentally said it in one of my videos, and actually the first time that I said it, I thought that it might have been a little bit insulting, but now I think that it is an adorable word for the half seat covers. The seat covers only go down to halfway, and they're lace, and it's really a Japanese thing, and it kind of looks like a grandpa car thing, but I think that most people who buy cars from Japan that have the lace covers, they see it as a big win because it's very JDM style. Okay, just came to the stream. Don't know if Thos was featured from Sim Kaishev. Sim, if you put the car name in there, you're more likely to get picked. But I'll pick this one anyway. 23184. We haven't gone through too many cars though. 23184. Honda Odyssey. Oh wow. Strangely, this is a really, really popular car to put 20-inch wheels on and lower it with air suspension. It has become kind of the poster child of minivan performance or visual modifications for minivans, even though it's not really a minivan. This one here is the RB1, which is the third generation of the Odyssey. The first two generations used the same chassis. First generation was the same in the US and in Japan and all other markets. Second generation, same thing. Third generation split off. So the American Odyssey became a minivan, whereas the Japanese one became a sort of tall station wagon type vehicle, and they're awesome. You can get them with 180 horsepower front wheel drive or four wheel drive. Standard engine is 140 horsepower, but the 180 horsepower one is called the Absolute, and it's really fun to drive. double wishbone suspension all the way around, and I guess a good chassis for modifications. And this is where the headlights come from for the what do they call it? There's a Silvia with the headlights converted from this that have become a popular kit, and I don't recall the name of it. Maybe somebody in the chat does. And so front bumper, grille, paint, looks like air suspension judging by the height. These VIP style side cladding. Rear bumper, exhaust. Looks like something weird's going on with the exhaust there. They almost look like Hello Kitty faces. Lots of stickers on there. I can hear the sounds of the Mario Kart next to me, actually. That's funny. I do like the look of this, but it's not a car that I would ever want to have myself. But if I saw a car like this, I think that's cool. I think, and one of the main reasons why I think Japanese people are so outrageous with all of their kind of car hobby is that it's more okay to be outrageous with your car here than it is in most other countries, especially Canada or America, where the scene is very judgmental. There's a lot of hate between different groups, and I don't really see that here in Japan. I think that if people don't like a style, then they usually keep it to themselves. They don't have this word diarrhea that's just, I need to complain about this. I need to tell somebody else that their life is bad. And I really feel like that improves the scene and allows for crazy things like this. And I can appreciate crazy things for sure. This the Odyssey itself is a great minivan, but for a family it's a little bit annoying because you can't get into the back seats very easily through the center seats because they don't move around as easy as you would like. So if you have 2 car seats, it's generally fine. If you have 3 car seats, it's a no-no. That's coming from Dad Derek here. What do we got? Going through the chat here. 100,000 yen is just over $900 US. Previous owner went to jail for bad taste. Mark II, any idea why this car was rated so poorly? Maybe I'll come back to that, I'm not sure. Well, eventually just remove 20s and get USD value roughly. I think he's referring to taking the wheels off and then selling the wheels to get other wheels. I don't know. I think that the wheels and the stance kind of suit the car, and nothing looks worse than a car that's super low on wheels that don't match the car. Cars must be 25 years old in order to import to the USA, says the A70 Super Dude. That is true. What problem areas to see with late 80s, early 90s four-wheel drive Hi-Ace and Delicas? Thanks in advance for your reply. Scott, that is a fantastic question. Okay, different cars. The Hi-Ace is a better built van, more space. The four-wheel drive system is way more robust, and the engine, I think, is more reliable. The Hi-Ace, however, comes with 2 different engines. So you can get the 2L engine or the 3L engine. They have cooling issues, and so make sure that your radiator is good and that you have an external oil cooler, and you'll be just fine to 400,000 or 500,000 kilometers. The Delica, build quality is lower, but coolness factor is definitely up there because it comes with raised suspension. Let's see if we can find a picture of this to show you guys what I'm talking about. And this is the L300, but it's the one that's popular right now in the States. There you go. And so it looks like the suspension is lifted. Some people put further lift on their car, and it is a cool car. The problem with this one is it's really slow. It's a 2.5 liter turbocharged engine. It is an extremely slow engine, and because of that, it also has overheating problems. It's an aluminum head engine. I think it's aluminum head engine. I know the Toyota is. I think the Mitsubishi is, but it might be iron. I'm not sure. Here you can see the lifted next to the non-lifted, and they're just cool for minivans, 7 or 8 seaters, and yeah, super rad. But yes, they're very slow, and that causes people to drive them really hard. Here's my picture. Oh, I'm famous on the YouTubes and the Google. Look, it's the thumbnail from one of my YouTube videos. See if we can find more. Here's another one. Here's another. This is an L400 with a lift. Here's another one. This one's mine, and this one's not mine. Okay, that's kind of fun. But both of them are good cars. The prices are high because they are good cars, and I recommend buying them, but both of them keep track of your cooling. Flush the radiator and get an oil cooler. You'll be fine. Okay, we are at 12 o'clock here, which should be the end of the cast, the live stream. Have you bought any second-gen Integra XSI? Seems like Hondas aren't as popular. Those ones are generally pretty cheap. Final generation Integras, unless it's the Type R. Type Rs are really expensive here, like really expensive, because they're amazing cars and awesome on a racetrack, and cheap cars to have as a racetrack car because they're very reliable, parts are easy to get, and they don't really, like, tires are smaller, tire costs are lower because of that, and they're easy to kick some butt on the track for any of the Type Rs, really. Okay, so there are some questions that I did not get to answer. Obviously I can't answer everyone's question because they just keep coming in, but you're in luck because we're going to do this every week. We're still undecided on the time that we're going to do it, and so we might continue to do it at this time, or we might change it to later in the week. Let me know what you thought about the beginning of the cast with the Mario Kart. I think it's a little bit fun to play a game like that and to show some of the Japanese games that we have here, so do let me know about that. Length of the cast as well, if you want it to be longer or shorter. We're still kind of learning how to do this. This is only our second time, but I think that this format is a lot better than just having me speak about the cars, because it leads to more interactivity with you guys, and I can answer your live questions as we go. And there are a lot of questions. We get a ton of emails with so many of the same questions, and if we can hammer out answers to those in these videos, I think it helps the community a lot. And so that's going to be the end. Goodbye, everybody, and see you again next week. Thanks for watching.